Once listen these questions and then write these questions in your notebook. These questions are very important and they have been asked in many previous board examinations in CBSE board. First question: what is the misadventure that William Douglas speaks about? Or what happened to Douglas at the YMCA pool? Answer: William Douglas speaks about the misadventure which happened at the YMCA swimming pool. When Douglas was about 10 or 11 years old, a big bully threw him into the deep pool. Douglas realized that he was drowning. He made several attempts to save himself but in vain. Finally, he felt that he would die and then he lost consciousness. When he gained consciousness, he was lying outside the pool. Question second: what did Douglas feel and do when he was pushed into the pool? Answer: when Douglas was thrown into the pool, he was scared very much, but he did not lose his mind. He planned that he would make a big jump when his feet would touch the bottom. Thus, he would come to the surface. Unfortunately, his plan failed. He started suffocating. He felt that he would die and then he lost consciousness. Question third: what deep meaning did his experience at the YMCA swimming pool have for Douglas? Answer: the drowning experience had a very deep meaning for him. It left a haunting fear lurking in his heart. He was extremely scared of water and avoided going near it. The fear deprived him of the joy of boating and fishing. Question 4: why did Douglas prefer to go to the YMCA swimming pool to learn swimming? Douglas' mother recommended that he should learn swimming at the YMCA swimming pool because it was safe. It was only 2 or 3 feet deep at the shallow end with a gradual drop to 9 feet at the other end. In contrast, the Yakima River was quite deep and several cases of drowning in it had been reported. Question 5: how did Douglas' introduction to the YMCA pool revive his childhood fear of water? Answer: Douglas' introduction to the YMCA revived his childhood fear of water, as when he had not yet learnt swimming, he was thrown by a bully and sank to the bottom in spite of his best efforts. Question 6: what did Douglas experience when he went down to the bottom of the pool for the first time? Answer: when Douglas went down to the bottom of the pool for the first time, he felt that the way down the pool was very long. His lungs were ready to burst. He summoned all his strength and jumped up but could not reach the surface and began to sink again. Question 7: when Douglas realized that he was sinking, how did he plan to save himself? Answer: when Douglas realized he was sinking, he was frightened out of his wits. He decided to make a big jump and come up to the surface. He thought of lying flat on the water for some time. Then he paddled to the edge of the pool. Question 8. Which two incidents in Douglas' early life made him scared of water? Answer. The first incident occurred when Douglas was 3 or 4 years old at a beach in California. A strong wave knocked down him and he was buried in water. The next incident occurred at the YMCA pool when he was 10 or 11. A big bully of a boy tossed him into the deep end of the pool. He went down to the bottom and almost drowned in the pool. Question 9. How did Douglas remove his residual doubts about his fear of water? Answer. Douglas removed his residual doubts by swimming across warm lake to the opposite shore and back. He says he shouted with joy, and Gilbert Peak returned to the echo. I had conquered my fear of water. Last question. What handicap did Douglas suffer from? How did he overcome that? Answer. The handicap that afflicted Douglas was his fear of water, which he had developed after a shocking experience in a pool. This deprived him of the basic joys of life. He overcame his he overcame this fear by gradually exposing himself to water with the help of an instructor who taught him how to swim. He eventually conquered his fear and swam in various places to overcome his fear completely. Thanks for watching.